So I'm going to do this video very quickly just to show you how stupid organisations are. Well, let's just blanket cover Australia. How actually not just Australia, because it was also in the US. How dumb dog shit people are. So idiots have tried to tie me in with photos, which isn't me, and then said, "Oh no, it's him. He just dyes his hair and all this other bullshit." And it's like, no, you're looking at a photo. And so this is the crisis group as well. Back in 2018, I was like, "You're talking about Daniel Radcliffe." So you nurses know my mother's second husband, which is not my father. My father's her first husband, which is a builder. You people know my mother's second husband and my mother's second husband's son. So people from Tamworth, including idiots. Deb Mears got involved. A fucking idiot from Tamworth. Michael Long and some other dickheads brought this shit up. So people were talking about Mark Rackley. That's my mother's second husband, and his son is Daniel Rackley. Now, so my father's Mark Fleming, who is a builder. My mother's first husband, they had twins. So my mother and my father had twins, my sister and myself, and then they went off and divorced and had other relationships after that. Those relationships with the other partners they had, those partners had children from their first marriages as well. Now, I've said this over the years to many people. I said, yeah, I've got half siblings. Those half siblings have other half siblings with other marriages on their other family side, which I'm not related to. So you don't know me, you don't know my family, and then you want to ask yourself, especially country town people, want to ask yourself, why is it that my mother Carol knew this and she didn't tell people? Because she knew 8 years ago that people were talking about her second husband and her second husband's son, and even there was an incident that related to, there was Shane Childs was brought up. Now, she knew, she was told, but instead she wanted to scam. Oh, sorry, Shane Childs is my mother's nephew. He was the one that was blonde. So she wanted to scam. And, well, yeah, it is a scam. If you're going to keep a lie going and commit fraud by... Remember, fraud doesn't have to be you've benefited financially. So you can still commit fraud if you haven't financially benefited from that. In Australia, it's still considered fraud. Even financially disadvantaging somebody. So if you actually interfere in somebody's life and it causes them financial loss and damage, you've committed fraud. That does fall under the law of Australia. So financially disadvantaging somebody is fraud in Australia, and you can still go to jail for 10 years for it. People were looking at social media to do with Daniel Radcliffe. Even in America, let me show you a photo where in America, I had some idiot think that was myself and my half sister. And I'm like, that's not me. That's my ex-stepbrother and his daughter. Let me show you. This here, that's not me. That's Mark Rackley's son, Daniel Rackley. That's his daughter. Stephanie DeSalis was looking at these Facebook. And in 2016, 2017 was like, oh, Justin had a daughter. It's like, no, Justin's never had a daughter. Justin's been openly gay since he was 12. What are you talking about? And apparently, this has gone on in 2 countries for 8 years. I was devastated because I couldn't see my children. I had all these relationship issues. It's like, no, I don't. I'm openly gay. I've just, it was all this weird crap. I'm like, that's not me. That's nothing to do with me. Jumped on social media and some idiot just typed in Rackley because they assumed my last name was Rackley because my mother's second husband's name. And they were looking at my ex-stepbrother because my mother separated with her second husband in 94. So let me show you one that idiots really... I've got it here. Here we go. I've got a large one of it. Here it is. This is the one that they thought was Faith Rackley. Here. So... people thought this was Faith Rackley, and that was me. No, that's Daniel Rackley, who used to hang around nurses at a Freemason nursing home in Moombi, so in the Tamworth, Moombi area in the country town or country city, and that's his daughter. Daniel Rackley is Faith Rackley's half-brother, Mark Rackley's son, so my mother's ex-stepson and my mother's second husband. Now, I'm going to briefly show you, because I actually had these saved to have a solicitor involved to take the matter further as a criminal matter. And I tried to resolve this 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Even now, when I'm like, yeah, but you're not talking about me. You're talking about my mother's second husband. I've had my mother, which you know what, there's a lot of reasons why you would never want to affiliate with her. She turned around to people and said, I don't know what Justin's talking about. I've only got 3 children. She's lying. She hasn't only had 3 children. She's actually had 4 children. And she knew exactly what I was talking about when I said, I've just been confused with your second husband's son. So my mother knew. So everybody should be out there asking Carol Purdy, why did you lie to us? Why did you lie to a whole area for years? So Mark Rackley's son moved to Tamworth. Well, God, Mark Rackley's son's from Adelaide or South Australia. That's where Mark Rackley had his first family. He's got, Belinda Rackley, Kimberly Rackley, Michelle Rackley, and Daniel Rackley. Then he went back to Sydney. Just after my father divorced my mother, let's be clear. My poor father's the one that looked at my mother and thought, what a fucking psychopath. Run a mile from her. My dad's lovely, Mark Fleming. So anyway, Mum went with Mark Rackley, and then they went to Tamworth, which was Mark Rackley's choice. It reminded him of South Australia. Basically, he used to say, it reminds him of Adelaide, and he did. They've had another 2 children, so it's very confusing. And I've said to people, look, basically you want to listen because you aren't talking about me, especially as soon as you bring up drugs or cannabis or, let me show you here, Daniel Rackley's mental state, which has pissed me off. So the Rackleys have issues. Here we go. There's a post here about him being suicidal. Forgive him, this is 2017. February 2017, when my mother is calling organisations saying, oh, my son, and lying to them, it's actually her stepson. That's her stepson. Her ex-stepson. So people might want to turn to Carol Purdy and say, why did you lie to us? Because you know that's your stepson. Why did you lie to us? And she did lie to everybody. You might want to also have a look at the fact here. Where is it? When Daniel Rackley... Oh, look, this is all my mother's ex-stepson. So I actually grabbed hold of the information and saved it because I was like, no, screw this. I'm sick of Carol's bullshit. She lies. She knows when people have confused the families and her children and her stepchildren from the real children and so forth. Here we go. Daniel Rackley wrote, what was this, back in 2015. November 2015, so when he was talking about his suicide moments. Yeah. You might want to go back to my low-life mother and actually there's a lot of stupid people and say, why did you lie to us? Why did you lie to everybody for years? Because clearly that's your stepson, ex-stepson. And clearly they've talked about your second husband, not your first husband, and your second husband's son, not your actual son you had with your first husband. So you might want to go and realise that you people do owe me 8 years of damages in 2 countries, and you also, because fucking hell, the Rackleys was projected into America. I'm not related. Realise it, that I'm not related to the Rackleys. My father's my mother's first husband, who's a beautiful man, Mark Fleming. Okay, the Fleming side of the family are lovely. You know, too good for my mother. So I'm glad my dad had the intelligence to divorce my mother in the 80s because the Flemings are too good for my fucking mother. So people don't know me if you don't know my father's side. And if you only have a comment to say, oh, I know Justin, I've met his mother and I've met his half-sister and I've met his sister, then you don't know me. If you know me, you would actually really know a lot more to do with my father's side, the Fleming side, than you would my mother's side. And when I made a comment years ago about myself and my twin sister having very different lives since a teenager, we did. Okay, I've never been trapped under my mother's control in a little bubble like my twin sister has, which is why my twin sister does not know who she is related to. My twin sister doesn't know anything outside of a little bubble that was created for her by my mother, my mother's sisters. I have nothing to do with them. And I won't ever have anything to do with them ever again after the last 8 years. And that's because of them. It's not for any other reason except they're pieces of shit people. So go and have a look at the facts. Like I've sent people a very good detailed document of what's gone on in the last 8 years and realize that you actually do owe the damages that you've caused me and that you will be paying those damages that you've caused and cost me.